there's an issue with regard to, one of the main issues with regard to the United Nations in Sri Lanka is the fact that the double standard, there's the issue of double standards used in the rest of the world and with regard to specifically Sri Lanka. I want to know, Secretary General, especially given the United Nations role during the Iraq War and what's happening in Israel and Palestine now, how do you address this issue, the cry that the UN has used a double standard when judging Sri Lanka? A. B. In today's comments that you made, you spoke of the inaction of the United Nations and that you ought to do deep reflection. Is there a presumption, going by the Darusman report, that there was actually war crimes, took place in this country during the final stage of the war? Is there a presumption that you're making?
Well, with my due respect to you and to all of you, I would not agree that there has been or there is a double standard on the part of the United Nations. We have a one standard, one value, one vision when we work with member states. And particularly when we work with the countries and people who have been suffering from this. There might be, and it's true that there was some lack of level of achievement or lack of involvement by the United Nations. That I admitted already in my statement. And that's what we have admitted long time ago. We really wanted to see why it had happened to that level. What and how United Nations could have done better in Sri Lanka, particularly at the time of last few months in 2009. I launched an investigation, internal investigation, just for the work of the United Nations here. We found there was a lapse and there was a lack of involvement on the part of the United Nations. That's why I again emphasize by the way of emphasizing the importance of keeping people's lives and safety and human rights, I launched Human Rights Upfront Initiative. This is not only for Sri Lanka. We learned from Sri Lanka. But this policy will be applied to all the countries around the world. So, to your mind, some perception problem that the United Nations might have taken some different standard, but that's not true. We are one United Nations. We are working as one team. There is a one Universal Declaration of Human Rights, and there is one United Nations Charter. I hope you will understand this. Thank you very much. Then,
it is a opinion of several people around the world that several wars have begun during your tenure as Secretary General. Keeping that in mind, it is also the view that you said this morning, in a speech you made this morning, that the United Nations has made certain shortcomings in terms of Sri Lanka. So given this backdrop, Secretary General, how can you give assurance to the Sri Lankan government and Sri Lankans that you will succeed in the future of Sri Lanka?
the United Nations and Sri Lankan government have been discussing and consulting on all other matters since a long time, since immediately after the end of this crisis, 2009, when I was here. As you know, there was a joint statement agreed between me and then President Rajapaksa. We established a panel of experts and government, also established this Lessons Learned and Reconciliation Commission. There were mutual efforts, but all these aspirations and concerns and also mechanisms have not materialized until recently. In that regard, I commend President Sirisena. Since his inauguration, he has been taking bold actions to talk about reconciliation and to talk about the transitional justice mechanisms, and also constitutional reform, and at the same time socio-economic development and recovery from all this destruction. These are challenging. At the same time, when government has made that kind of programs, this should be carried out. That's why I have been asking to civil society, parliamentary leadership, political leadership, government leadership, and just the citizens to show sense of unity and solidarity and compassion. I think all these processes should be a credible processes, particularly credible and acceptable to those people affected, families and victims, and community people whose community have been severely affected. I count on the leadership of this country to fully cooperate and show their leadership. UN will continue to help through peace-building processes.
My question is, now from your own words, you stated that Sri Lanka has made a remarkable progress ever since it came in 2009 up to now. So in that backdrop, in that context, why not the United Nations take the Sri Lankan government to follow its own process in finding a permanent solution to this ethnic conflict and in reconciliation process?
There's a huge difference now between 2009 and now. With the lapse of time, 7 years, with the change of government, with the active involvement of international community, particularly United Nations, and through Human Rights Council and our peace-building support office, through peace-building fund, and also partners of Sri Lanka. You are receiving full support and sympathetic consideration and very friendly support. That means you are receiving recognition and appreciation, unlike in the past. It has been rather difficult sometimes, even for me, to talk with the government leadership. There was some gap between expectation of international community and the level of what government had been doing. Now, I think even though we are not fully there, the level of gap, I think we can reduce as soon as possible. I have spoken to and honestly advised and talked to President and Prime Minister that there are competing challenges for this country. First of all, you have to address so many difficult economic and social issues. There is so much desire, honest desire by people to promote reconciliation and constitutional reform, reconciliation. It may take longer time than one may expect. But that does not mean that you have to take as long as you want. As I said in my earlier remarks, the victims and families who have been affected, they cannot wait forever. The sooner you address this, the better and the quicker your country will be able to step on sustainable prosperity and peace. This morning's my statement, my speech on sustaining peace and sustainable development, I think that should go together. When there is a sustaining peace, it will be much easier for your country to devote your time and resources in sustainable development. If you make a sustainable development in socio-economic areas and peace, then you will be much easier in making sustainable peace.
My question is from UN, the Sri Lankan government repeatedly said that there are no foreign judges' involvement in the process. What's UN stand on that?
I think all Sri Lankan government and the United Nations are involved in this process. There may be some differences of level of involvement or differences of advancement, the progress in major issues. I would say that there are three major areas which you and United Nations are working. One is reconciliation. I think that you have to do. Then there is international transitional justice mechanism. That I think you have to work together with the international community, with the United Nations. Human Rights Council in October last year has adopted a resolution recommending Sri Lankan government to establish a credible transitional justice system. Credible both national and international. It should be credible to the standard of your concerns and international concern. Then peace building process. United Nations is deeply involved, directly involved in this peace building process. And therefore, while I expect that still there may be some lack of understanding or differences of progresses to be made, but I think we are going, and you are going toward the right direction. I think you must go surely to the target when all the people, regardless of ethnic group, ethnicities or traditions, or I think this you need some mutual understanding, tolerance, resilience, and also forgiving, some sense of forgiving each other. So mutual understanding, mutual respect, forgiveness, and tolerance. I think all these are something which Sri Lankan people and government lead and demonstrate at this time. As I said, United Nations will fully, continuously encourage you to do so. Thank you very much.
I'm so sorry. It's something.